welcome to Cooking with the Lights Out. And I'm sure the lights are on so you can see this video, but you get the point. Okay, so right here I'm making buttermilk biscuits, and I have all my dry ingredients in this bowl. It's, let's see here, white general purpose flour, baking powder, baking soda, salt, and sugar, and I'm whisking it together so that they're all, I added all the dry ingredients first, and I'm whisking them together to make sure they're all evenly distributed and whatnot. Then, right, oh, and I didn't have regular buttermilk, and so I made my own buttermilk. The way you do that is you add lemon juice or vinegar to milk, and the ratio is 1 tablespoon of vinegar or lemon juice per 1 cup of milk. And I actually, I did, the recipe calls for 3/4 of a cup, and so what I did was made mostly milk and put some heavy whipping cream in there too. I've never done that before, but I thought it was worth a try. Okay, so now we're going to take this pastry knife here and cut the butter into the dry ingredients, all the flour. And you mix this butter in, you cut this butter in until you've got little pea-sized pieces of butter in there. You don't mix it fully in like you would with a pie dough, so it's kind of pea-sized separate from the flour. So now we're done with the pastry knife. We used it to basically cut the butter up into little pea-sized chunks inside the flour. So if you feel it with your hands, it basically feels like you poured a cup of peas into your flour. So now we are going to mix in our buttermilk, which has our mixture has had to stand for 5 minutes to do its thing and turn into buttermilk, basically. Mix it up real good here. Okay, now start to add it a bit at a time. Hands to mix it all together. And the reason you leave the butter in pea-sized pellets, basically, is it helps your biscuits be nice and flaky. Okay. Gets a little gluey at first. Just mix it on in there and keep scraping it off your hands, and eventually it'll turn into a nice dough. And you just kind of squeeze it and turn it over and mush it down. Basically, it's sort of like kneading bread dough, but not quite. As you can see, it's a little messier until you get it all mixed together. Okay, so there we go. Alright, just about ready to turn it out onto the counter. And we'll put you don't want too much flour, just a pinch of flour down so it doesn't stick to the countertop. Let's see, I can get that off of there. Okay, so basically I just took a little ramekin and put a good pinch of flour in there so I don't have to have the whole bag out. Just a little bit more. That'll help get the dough off your hands too. Okay, so, and you will also need a rolling pin or a large flat-sided cup also works. And So we're going to when you need a greased pan or a pan with a silicone mat. I've got one of these nice copper plastic mats, and that way they don't stick to the pan.
Where'd you get that nice rolling pin?
I actually made this nice rolling pin. It is made of an African mahogany called sapele, and I think that's one of my spirit woods. It is one of the nicest woods I've ever worked with. So, okay, here we go. Okay, so now we've got our dough on the counter with just a little bit of flour down. You don't want too much, because if you do too much, you'll end up mixing too much flour in there. Just put a little extra dab down there. Okay, so here we go. Taking this rolling pin of mine, which is also dusted with a little bit of flour. That helps quite a bit in things. Here we go. Just kind of work it around. You want to work it out to about a 1/2 inch. Now, the way I measure that is the tip of my pinky finger is about a 1/2 inch wide. So I'll roll it out a bit and then test it. You can, so that's a good way to judge things when you're just kind of guessing on them. Okay, here we go. Okay, now I'm using the lid of a little 8-ounce mason jelly jar to cut out my biscuits. You're supposed to end up with around a dozen. I think last time I used this, we ended up with about 9 or so, but we made nice big biscuits. And you go straight down when you cut it. You don't want to twist it because the edges won't be nice and flaky. And there you go. So let's put them on the cookie sheet here. Now, with this cookie, when you put them on the cookie sheet, usually you don't want things to touch, like cookies or whatever, because they'll stick together. But these, you do want them to touch together. And that way they'll end up nice and moist and be really good biscuits. I've made these once before, and they are delicious. That one in there. Now get the tops all nice and pretty and golden. You take a little bit of buttermilk. Where did my brush go? I'm always, one of the worst things about me is I don't put things away, I put them down. That is a horrible habit for blind people. So here we go. Just take this and just a a nice basting brush, and you don't have to get crazy about it. It's not like you're marinating. You're just putting a little bit on the top. There we go, I think. There we go. Okay. Make sure I got it there. Okay, looks like we got it. Now, we put them in the oven, which has been preheating at 450 degrees for 15 minutes, give or take, until they're nice and golden brown on top, and then there you